Patty's emotions were a raging sea. It had depth, but she could only see the waves. She stood in the kitchen as Nucky stormed out of the house. The flowers, the little red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and now brown. They flickered inside of her mind, a repeat pattern of little flowers of the rainbow flag. Her thoughts were given, but she thought they were her own. They calmed her, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, red, orange, yellow, blue. The little flowers in the box looked like the sea, the waves. It was like her emotions were transformed. Her emotions were the raging waves, but now they turned into little colored flowers. She thought of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. She didn't know she was thinking this because the thoughts were done for her already, over and over. The pattern was already programmed. She loved imagining the flowers in the box. It was her tumultuous emotions transformed into tiny rainbow flag-colored flowers. She wanted to be a boat in the flowery sea so badly she dipped her hand in and plunged it to the bottom of the raging sea of her emotions. Those flowers in that cardboard box. She was afraid to pull her hand out of the flowers and kept still, gradually holding on to more of the flowers, clutching them in her hands. Imagine how tasty they would be. It was a line on a popular junk food ad. No, it was a character in a movie. No, they're singing it. Imagine how tasty they would be. It was a song, she thought, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, red. The colors relax me, she thought. The sea of flowers was now the world. Everyone is a flower now, Patty said. All I want is to be a flower, just one flower in a sea of flowers. I just want to be one. I just want to be one in the wave. She paused. Pink flower. I'm the pink flower, she thought, instead of saying, because her mouth was now full of flowers, full of colorful little flowers, and she chewed them and felt the stars from the sky tickling her. They're all like the flowers. Earth is the blue and green flower, she said. Little flowers fell out of her mouth with the green foam, and she moved ecstatically with her arms and legs in such a way that made it look like she was swimming on the carpet. In her mind, she felt like she was swimming under the tiny colored flowered water. Her clothes felt like they were burning. So she tore them off, but then she felt like her own skin was burning. The flowers called to her, Patty, 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 Patty. The flowers kept calling her name, Patty. They kept saying, Patty, Patty, Patty. Nucky is an asshole. Nucky, Nucky, we hate Nucky. We hate Nucky. Patty, Patty, Patty. Take us away, Patty. Don't let Nucky get us, Patty, Patty. The flowers screamed and wouldn't stop screaming, or more accurately, the drug inside of the flowers that Patty ate made Patty think the flowers screamed. Inside of the flowers talk to everyone that drinks or smokes them. These thoughts are inside of the flowers, and anybody that drinks or smokes them gets the same thoughts. That's part of the appeal of the drug. It's part of the reason why Patty wanted to be one flower inside of the wave. Patty dipped her hands into the box of flowers and munched on as big of a mouthful she could stuff into her face as she could. Why do the walls glow? Patty asked. It's not the house glowing. It's you. Because you want to get out of here, Patty answered herself. Then she couldn't stand being in her sister's house anymore. She knew her sister, knew Nucky was right, of course. Of course Nucky was right. It all went to crap, and her stupid brother-in-law was right. Not that she could ever admit it. She chomped on another handful of flowers, and the walls felt like they were moving toward her. Every wall that she looked at would start moving toward her as soon as she looked at it, silently creeping toward her. These are Nucky's walls, she screamed and spit at the wall. But the wall cracked open from her spit and opened up into the front lawn. First, she saw the great hole in the driveway where the tree, or Robert, used to be. She followed the line from the hole all the way to the tree that was Robert, she would have said, Roberta. No way was Nucky going to tell her the secret about the trees. She didn't know this was Robert. The problem with the drugs that these kids were taking, the I don't know, government prescribed drugs, I don't know what to call them. The problem with these drugs is they didn't know when to stop progressing. These were progressive drugs. And they progressed until they didn't know when to stop transforming. When do you stop? That was the problem. They didn't know when to stop until they all turned into trees. The pill doesn't know or care what your boundary line is. Their calling to their patient is just to transform them. How do they know when to stop transforming? Who knows after this tree form what they're going to be, unless I stop them with my music. The flowers are the same as the pills. They called to her, Patty, 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 Patty. Patty grabbed another handful of flowers, munched them down, and another wall crumbled down. She saw some rough, crazy people. One man had a long scarf and matching long hair and a splash on his face, the shape of a butterfly. The ceiling ripped open into a sky, and a large head of a demon was floating above the house watching Patty. But Patty didn't notice this. It was just another feature of the flower drug that she was taking. The floor had changed into a steel grate, and there was fire down below. Just another feature of the flowers. And then there wasn't fire below. That was another feature of the flowers. It could all stop just like that, completely. For brief periods of time, there was all of the effects were gone, and the person on the flowers was completely unaffected. Often they would find themselves in a pile of nude people writhing and scratching. And this is a point to get to them. This is the moment. If you want to reform the flower junkie, you have to get to them right at this moment. Then, and only then, can they be reasoned with, if at all. This is when Patty noticed Barb right in front of her, screaming, Patty, Patty! She didn't notice her before that, because she was in a daze from the flowers. Of course the wall hadn't split open. Of course there was no demon face. Maybe there was. Maybe I'm speaking too quickly here. Maybe there was. Hey, Patty thought, where are the flowers? Where are the flowers? Why are you screaming at me? Patty screamed back, but then remembered herself and added, without a mask? Mask? You hear me, Patty? I wasn't even screaming because you couldn't hear me. I hear you. Where are the flowers? The box of flowers. Patty was starting to move around restlessly and quickly looked into Barb's eyes. Barb said, you're not making any sense, Patty. Just sit down. The flowers, Barb. I want the flowers. Your idiot husband took them away when I fell asleep. That was Barb's boundary. Insulting Nucky was the line she told Patty not to walk. Patty has always been so self-righteous, but after Martin left her, after Marcy left her, Barb censored her own thoughts for her sister, Marcy. She couldn't even think of the old name. She couldn't even think of it, or else Barb thought she'd be dead naming Marcy. Nucky said if Martin never changed to Marcy, Martin would not have left Patty. It was only Marcy that left Patty. Yet Marcy doesn't get blamed, and Patty just blames us. Oh, Barb was so confused, split between the two of them, split between the two most important people in her life. Sit down right now. I'm getting sick of your attitude. I took the flowers away. You were foaming green crap out of your mouth, scratching and playing with yourself. Yeah, I took your flowers away. Not Nucky. I don't know what I'm going to do with you. Patty sat there like it was just a joke. The smile. Why don't you tie me up? Barb. But Barb was so blustered by this time. She just looked at Patty and took it in, as if it was information. And then she walked up. No, she stormed upstairs. Patty didn't even notice Barb's mood because she was so trapped inside of her mind over the flowers. She didn't even notice that Nucky had come in and was trying to ask her something. Of course, Nucky was waving his hand in front of Patty's eyes, but Patty didn't see Nucky. She saw a pirate, a pink-haired pirate with no shirt on, long, flowing pink pirate hair. Patty kissed him on the lips. In her mind, she kissed the pirate. In reality, Nucky was watching her air kiss, smooching nothing, and she knew the pirate wasn't real when she realized he was bubblegum, pink bubblegum. She chewed the pirate's face, and even though she loved the taste of bubblegum, she cried because of her great loss of her wonderful pink-haired pirate, and she started hyperventilating. But what Nucky didn't realize was that the hyperventilating was a ruse. It wasn't real. She was just having a lucid moment, and she noticed the new box of little colored flowers. The hyperventilating was to get Nucky to look for bags and stop paying attention to his box of flowers. Patty quickly stuffed her mouth full of flowers and broke into song as she chewed. Imagine how tasty they would be, she sung. She stood up and tore her clothes off and started scratching all over her body, scratch, and when she just noticed Nucky in front of her, she grabbed him and used him as a scratching post. When Barb walked down the stairs, she had a pile of sheets and old pantyhose. It looked like she was spying on an adulterous moment, but it soon became obvious that Nucky was obviously just being patient. Barb slid a chair behind Patty, and on cue, without a plan, Nucky pushed her back, bending her knees back, falling onto the chair as Barb tied her to it with pantyhose and bed sheets, and Nucky pulled her knees down and tied the bed sheets around her too. Nucky felt closer to Barb than he felt in a long time. Barb had been distant because Patty was trying to split them apart, to be frank. They looked into each other's eyes and heard each other's sighs. People always feel closer when they're doing a crime. They felt so much closer than they've felt in such a long time. Everything was on lockdown. Everything, because you couldn't drive a car. You couldn't go anywhere. If you called the police wouldn't come because of the piles of writhing, scratching, nudes blocking too many streets. When Nucky finally made it to Ontario Tree Department, they wouldn't let him in. Trees need to be analyzed, he said. But the security guards told him to go away. They simply needed money for food, mortgage, and taxes. They wouldn't give him any money for going to the Ontario Tree Department. Selling the flowers, that might be the solution to the problem there. Nucky received a message in his mind from Robert and ran outside to help. Patty could see the problem. It was the man with the butterfly black face pattern on his nose. The man with the Rorschach face, as Nucky refers to him. He had a knife in his hand. His friends had knives in their hands, too. Patty could see this because she could see through the walls again. She could see where the box was hidden, where Barb hid it, and hear them singing to Patty. Imagine how tasty they would be, they were singing. She didn't have to struggle too hard to escape from all the pantyhose and bed sheets, because she stole Nucky's knife and just sliced right through them. And she ran to the box of flowers, chucked a handful down her mouth, picked up her large halogen flashlight and turned it on, and her plan was just to run quickly with the flashlight and the flowers, hoping they were too busy knifing Nucky to death to notice. But of course they noticed. She was nude. That's a pretty attention-getting thing to do. That's one thing about Patty. She still retains her looks. Somehow, in spite of her self-mutilation, I still feel sorry for her. Aside being annoying to live with, she still does have hope. And she is Barb's sister, after all. But in this moment, it doesn't show. She bursts through the front door, nude with a flashlight and a box of flowers in her hands, and runs. Runs for her life, clutching onto her precious box of flowers. The four would-be knife stabbers lost their minds because they dropped their knives and ran after Patty for her flowers. Before taking the organ out to play for the trees, Nucky phoned all the parents, and every one of them hung up on Nucky, thinking he was a maniac, telling them that their kids were alive, and now they were trees. Nucky steeled his determination to persevere and said, "Well, maybe one day they'll believe me after their missing sons tell them so."
What will happen to Patty? Does Nucky actually care for her? Will the boys' parents ever believe their boys transformed into trees? Listen to Chapter 7 for the answers.
Check out the links below for my comic books. El Shaddai 2 is the book that you should buy first, and Trump
that book, whether you love them or you hate them, that's the book you should buy second. It's funny, but it's also a really unique concept. And I have fairy tale books, and I have other kind of comics, and I have more comics on the way. Comics of the type that people don't usually see or make. So like and subscribe and buy my books.